With the baseball All-Star break coming and going this week and NFL training camp right around the corner, New York Post sports columnist Steve Serby gave the people a little early football talk with his weekly Q&A. This week, Mr. Serby caught up with Giants cornerback Deonte Banks, and now Steve joins me to tell me all about his Q&A. Steve, what's going on?
Dex, welcome back from Vegas. How was it?
Vegas was good. Got to see some good basketball out there. The young Knicks prospects looking pretty good. It was also very hot in Vegas, but I managed to stay cool and spend a lot of time indoors in AC and not outside baking in the oven heat that's in Vegas.
Well, you've always been a cool customer. We know that.
Cool under the pressure. But you know what doesn't take any pressure? Talking to you about your Q&As. And Steve, from reading your Q&A with Deonte Banks, I got the sense that he exudes a lot of confidence from his responses, particularly when he talks about becoming one of the best cornerbacks in the league. How did you perceive his confidence during the interview, and what impression did it leave on you?
I didn't think it was a false confidence in the least. He's got an infectious energy about him, and he told me that Pat Surtain is his number one cornerback starting this year, but by the end of the year, he's going to be talked about as one of the best, if not the best cornerbacks. And look, he'll be playing behind Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns, and he loves that scenario. 2 interceptions a year ago, but he's around the ball a lot. I asked him what his personal goals this year are. He said, well, I'm going to keep that personal. But remember, a year ago, he faced 4 of the top receivers in the NFL and handled himself well. This year, the first 7 weeks of the season, he's got Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, Jamar Chase, and A.J. Brown, and he is not scared, intimidated, awed in the least. He's going to go out and just play ball. And remember a year ago when, I don't know if you do or not, when he was drafted, Joe Shane was greeted by former defensive coordinator Wink Martindale with a very heavy bear hug because Deonte Banks was just what the doctor ordered for the Giants. The Giants traded up 1 pick to make sure they landed Banks. He's 6 foot, he's 201, long arms, very competitive, quick, fast, and loves a challenge. And I don't know if he's going to be one of the top corners in the game, but don't be surprised if he's at least in the top 8 or 10.
I'll tell you what, he plays well in those first 7 weeks. He will be definitely in that conversation because that is a tall order.
He played Marvin Harrison Jr. in college when he was at Maryland. And it was a real confidence. It's not one of those deals like I do. I talk big just to convince myself I can do it. He believes he can do it.
Listen, that's a good confidence to have. Like that. Giants fans like to hear that about Mr. Banks. And Deonte, he also talked about his aspirations. You kind of mentioned some of that and the potential that he sees in himself to be a star in New York. How did he express his vision for his career and his outlook on what it would mean to achieve that level of success right here in the Big Apple? How did he talk about that?
Well, first of all, he loves New York, and that's important because we've seen a lot of guys in different sports over the years who are scared by New York. He doesn't mind the bright lights or the big stage at all. He describes himself as silly and goofy. His teammates love him. They describe him that way as well. But he's going to be driven to be great. He's been driven and obsessed with football ever since he was a kid. He credits his father for holding him accountable. When he got a D in trigonometry in 10th grade, his father told him, look, if you want to play in the NFL, if you want to get a D1 scholarship and play in the NFL, you better not come home with any more Ds. And that was the only D that Deonte Banks received in high school. He was an honor roll student, as a matter of fact. He doesn't take where he is for granted. He's a kid from Baltimore who lost a lot of friends. He saw friends go the wrong way. And he says he could have easily been distracted. He's proud of himself that he was not distracted. And now here he is loving New York, loving being a Giant, and loving chicken Alfredo. If you ever see him in a restaurant, he'll be eating chicken Alfredo.
Oh, sounds like he might want to. Did you tell him about Parkside? Sounds like he might want to take a trip to Parkside to get some chicken Alfredo.
Didn't you have that there? I think you had that there.
Did I? I can't remember if I had it. I think I did. I actually did. You're right. I did.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
By the way, you didn't mention anything about my shirt.
See, I didn't do that because I noticed the white collared shirt, but I said, who knows if in this edition Steve is going to grab a sport coat, he might put on a sweater, he might put on a tie. Nobody knows what you're going to do with the attire now, Steve. We have no idea.
Well, I'll be honest. I went before the segment. I went over to Men's Warehouse, looked at some white sports jackets. The $199. I told myself maybe I'll come back and get it. Then I went across to Old Navy and got this. I don't know if you can. Can you see that?
We see. We see.
Yeah.
We see the white shirt. I mean, that's not a white suit though. It doesn't match the hair.
No.
You got a little bit. Yeah.
No, it's not a white suit, but it's $29.99.
Okay, a good price. You got the Elvis Presley look going on there. I'm for it.
Do I look like a dentist? My wife thinks I look like a dentist.
I like that. Maybe you need a lab coat. That's what you need. You need a lab coat there.
I need more than a lab coat.
Well, Steve, we never know. Now you're unpredictable. Now the fashion has become unpredictable. The only thing that is predictable is that every week we do Sundays in Serby, and Steve is going to do a Q&A. This week's one was with Deonte Banks. Folks can check that out. nypost.com is the place to do it. Next week, we have no idea who Steve is going to talk to, and we have no idea what he's going to wear. But you'll have to tune in and see. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Dex.
No problem.